like this.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
Nice. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a really lovely thing to be asked. It's fun to be part of your conversation.
Yes. Do you feel like, for me, from this end, I feel like it's no big deal. Like, I'm like, okay, hey, cool, there's another Pilates guy. Let me ask him, let's just have a chat. But I'm getting more of that sentiment from people, like it's an honor to be asked. And like, I really appreciate it. And it's funny how I don't feel it from this end. I'm just like, I just want to learn about you. Like,
It's nice when anyone recognizes you for whatever reason, right? You
yes.
contacted me out of the blue, which is great.
Yes.
And it shows that whatever presence I have on Instagram is noticed by someone, and that is cool.
Yes.
And I've seen your stuff already. You're a cool dude, so it's a cool thing to be asked by another cool dude. There aren't many dudes in this industry, right?
Right, exactly. Yes. And speaking to that, at the same time I had reached out to you and booked you in, I was excited to see you coming on. I got a message from Jamie, and Jamie was like, hey, I have this great guy. He did some amazing work with his son and some other stuff. You should have him on. I was like, guess who I just booked in? So that worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, the first time I spoke to Jamie, it was Lolita San Miguel said, you're going to like each other, so call up. And I called him up. We spoke for an hour, and I suppose that was my job interview, because then I went and did a week's workshop at his retreat, and it was like we're all pals straight away. So
yes,
he is an awesome fellow.
He is. He really is. I can't say, I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, but there's not too many people on this planet that I don't like. So then by the time you like layer in, like we're doing Pilates, we're passionate about movement, we're dads. So like if there's enough levels of parallel there, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a given that I'm going to like this person.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah.
Well, there's another one there too, right?
Yeah, as personal trainers, part of our job, like you were just saying, is to be liked by our clients. So we're open in that sense to part of our actual survival in the business is to be a welcoming and likable person.
Yes.
And we can't fake that over time. So we have to be the type of person that enjoys spending time talking to people, getting to know them, because otherwise it's just a drag, isn't it?
It is. Oh yeah, those are the longest hours. That's the lot. And then you have that person that like you're just barely getting through that session, and then they're like, I think I'm gonna renew. I'm gonna probably get like 80 sessions, and you're like, oh.
Well, so I had this one client, and she is a sweet lady, and she frustrated me like nothing else. And she would come back week after week after week, and she just didn't listen, right? So she did her own thing. She came in to do her own thing, and I said, lift your arm, and she would lift a leg, and it was just, you're not getting any better. You're not getting stronger. You're not getting faster. You're not getting this stuff. It's just so frustrating, and yet you keep coming back.
Yes.
And then at some point, I realized, hang on a minute, I'm trying to put my expectations of training onto her.
Yes.
And that's what she's here for. So as soon as I changed my approach to her, it became a joy. And now it's just I spend some time with her. We have a chat about other things. And it's a real pleasure to be doing her workout for her, as opposed to trying to force my workout on this little old lady. She's not there for that reason.
Right.
It was a good lesson to learn. Much more fun for everyone, I'm sure.
Right. So you just learned that like last week, or
20 years in? Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. There's always something, right? Like it's man, yeah. But we do that. I think, and to your credit, I'm sure like it's the same for me, where like you're not doing that because there's any ill will, or you're trying to really impose your thing on them. You just want them to be great. You just want them to feel better. Like, and sometimes we want that more than they want it for themselves, and we want it this way. Like, you know what I mean? So we come from a good place with a bad approach.
Well, this is the thing. You've asked sort of the question, what's my reason for being, or who are we as teachers? And my passion and my reason for being on this earth, for having taken the road that I've traveled to get to where I am, is absolutely expressed by my work with my son.
Yes.
So, I'm ex-forces. I was always harder, faster, stronger, expecting myself to get better with every workout, and expecting that for clients. But that is not the approach that I can take with him. And that became very obvious very early on. He has a genetic condition called Prader-Willi syndrome. He has low tone. He will always have low tone. And there were lots of struggles early on in his life. He spent 3 months in an incubator, and it just, there were lots of things, and he's generally delayed with just about everything.
Yes.
But what I realized with him is, it ties in with what I have always done with my high-end training and my military, Pilates for the military type training. If you can speak the language of the person that you're working with, then you have a chance of getting through to them.
Yes.
And, so my previous skill was Pilates for the military. I'm ex-military. I can speak that body language.
Yes.
That I can take that presence in a way that, when I walk into a room compared to a small ballerina, I take a different presence as a military PI compared to someone whom they don't recognize. But with my son, there is no preconception of what a teacher should be. So I have to absolutely take the lead from him. And it means that I realize that that's people like him that cannot advocate for themselves, but that desperately need our kind of intervention in order to live a more fulfilled and better life. Yes. That's really what I need to be doing.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit more about his condition and how did you, when was it diagnosed, and how did you figure that this is going to be something we had to work with?
So, 8 weeks premature. And my wife was, everything was going well, but then she had too much fluid for whatever reason. They took a scan and worked, there's something not right. So we went for a test, and then they realized, right, this baby's in distress. He's coming out now. So they, 20 minutes later from them saying this, he was out. They literally went for a C-section, and it was an emergency, and the most
emergency C,
amazing thing I've ever seen. And the dad is so superfluous in that situation. It's hilarious. They gave me gowns as they were walking us through the hospital. Put this on the operating theatre. Sit in that corner and shut up. And then they took care of the. He came out really quick. Then I got to cut the cord and all stuff, but they took him next door to count fingers and toes and everything. Came back, and they said, "Dad, do you want to come and have a chat about the child?" The first thing that they said, we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl. I'm like, okay, is the child going to live? So yeah, the child's going to live, but I don't care about the rest.
Yes.
And so the genitals small for kids with PWS is a common thing, but there are a lot of that to happen as well. So it was no indication of what it would be. But he was 8 weeks premature, so straight into they take care of mum as well, and then he was a limp baby for a week. You can be a limp baby premature, an emergency C-section, no problem. But after a week, they start wondering, right, there's something up. So they did some tests, and tests came back. The tricky thing with that stage, those 2 weeks, was that I went home and Dr. Google told me limp baby syndrome. And I think there were 6 or 7 different things that it could be. The kid's going to die tomorrow, or the kid's going to live for a week, or the kid's going to have a disability ranging from level 1 to 100. We don't know. And I went back to the docs and said, is that what it is? And they said, yeah, that's what it is. They just didn't want to tell us. And then it turns out that Prader-Willi syndrome is one of the more benign reasons The kid could be limp. But we spent 3 months. You know, he didn't breathe well, and well, all of the systems don't work. So lift him up like this, and he would be like a rag doll. You know, so we're amazed because we pick him years old, and he's still a bit floppy.
Yeah.
We pick up a 3-month-old baby, and they're like,
yeah.
You know, so there is a different sense of tone to a small child. So instant thing up. The problem, Dr. Google is helpful at that either. Become for these kids is not fun. And Reid syndrome, it doesn't look good. Aggression, there's absolute obesity, there's stealing food out of fridges, you've got to put locks on, you know, they're never going to leave home, and all these sorts of things. So, you know, our wish is for this kid to be an astronaut out the window. Yeah, it seems our wish is to be able to play in the back there out the window as well. So it's a difficult time. Tough time for you know, for me, but geez, how tough for my wife, who's, you know, she's gone through the physical process.
Right.
And here's another thing, right?
Yes.
Imagine if we got an emergency C-section and then we're expected to go
vertical or horizontal?
3 days. Like, how many fellas could? So it was quite low, but that is major surgery. Women are just expected to carry on as per normal. So yeah, huge respect for all of that. But it took a long time for him to, you know, move his eyes, move his head, and to in fact, the person who in Pilates was Lolita San Miguel, who was over at our place for lunch. She was here doing workshops and running a course at my studio. So came for lunch, and she sat with Albie in her arms on our couch for an hour, looking into his eyes and just dangling fingers. She's got some big rings, some big bright rings dangling over the top of this baby. And it was the first time that he reached up and grabbed for something. And that really turned a corner for us. That persistence and you know, all of these things really pay off. And since then, you know, everything that I've done up until now has been useful for helping him, and then useful people as well. So.
Absolutely. That's watching the video of you working with your son, your enthusiasm and just you're celebrating every movement is just so rich, right? Just I can appreciate that.
Well, this is actually one of the things that's really lovely about his developmental delay. Thing to be happy about, but normally a kid will be threatening to walk, and then if you go with a weekend and you come back, the kid's now walking. So, you know, for a few days, and then it walks, and then that's. Whereas Albie he's on the cusp of all of these things for weeks, for months. So we can really savor inch stones much more. And it means that we are so much more, because we're to looking for change. It is a truly wonderful experience to savor that. It is really nice. But yeah, he works off feedback as well.
Yes.
So he needs positive reaction, because he doesn't want to work out. You know, right? Speaking their language, he has no motivation to be there. Motivate him, and that means happy and excited. And bar's got to be fun, and it's only fun if I tell him it's fun.
Right. Yes.
You know, I did the same thing. I'm a massage therapist originally, and in massage I cause pain, right? It's part of the it's not a comfortable experience. And a good friend of mine asked, could I massage his horse? I'm like, I've never done a horse before, so looked up the anatomy book. It's pretty much the same. The performance is in the same sort of place, so just did the same sort of thing. He said, tighten the hips. So I you know, the heel of the hand and into the buttocks and piriformis and everything. Now a horse will not put up with that kind of pain without discussion. So the horse should away, but of course, I'm causing pain. If I was doing it to you, I could say, deal with it, Martin. You know, this is
right.
for your own good.
Right.
It's a different thing with these people.
Yes.
But have the same thing when you're talking high-level athletes down to regular people. How do you make them? They don't want to run 100 meters. You know, how do you enthuse the average person?
Well, yeah,
what's your trick?
Well, that's interesting. The way you said, like describing for a horse, you can't sit the horse down and explain to him why we're going to be enduring this pain for the bigger vision. So whereas with clients, you can remind them, wait a minute, you signed up with me because you're trying to get into this wedding dress, or you signed up with me because you want to be the fittest 55-year-old playing hockey with these 25-year-old guys out there. So I bring people back to their goal. I bring them back to their why repeatedly, like not just once, but like repeatedly. And it's, and to encourage them with that, like, that's great. That's going to look so much better. You're going to notice a difference when you get out on the golf course in the spring. So I just keep bringing the goals back to them. Like, that was a great job in that roll up. Can you imagine what that's going to feel like? How much further the ball's going to go when you hit it? I'm not promising that's going to be straighter, but it'll be further. Like, you have to find that sort of thing. So those are the conversations that I have where it's like, keep their goals in front of them, weave their goals into your encouragement when you're talking with them, and let them see the connection between the movement and their end goal, even with the most minute thing. Like your feet, for example. And going back to one of my golfers, we'll do something and then we'll work on your footwork, or we'll work on just getting some release in your feet. And then from there, it's like, well, the reason why we're doing that, even though it tickles or is uncomfortable, it's like, you don't want to bleed energy at any point through your golf swing. So even if we can get you to a point where your feet are working correctly, that may be the difference between getting another 5 yards on your ball, or having a more consistent swing because your feet aren't. So like, just keeping everything coming back to their goal with every movement that we're making.
Well, yeah, and that's the amazing thing. And you say the Pilates, the change that we can make is phenomenal. The untapped possibilities that we have here. I have one client who's a cyclist. He cycles to and from work every day. Crazy guy, right? He doesn't cycle so much in the winter, so he just goes on his he records it on Strava, and he's talking to me about the power wattage output. He's got records of what he's been doing for years. He got something like 2 or 3% extra power output from having done a term of Pilates with me. Regular mat work, basic Pilates.
Yes.
Improved his.
Yes.
And how much does a cyclist pay to get a increase of power output? He'll buy a 1,500-pound bike. He'll buy the 200-pound cleats on the shoes, so it's energy. But imagine if he can just harness his own skills. This is actually one thing, if I can encourage, and I'm glad that you're already doing that on your point of view clearly. I think our industry needs to set more or discuss the goals with people, because I noticed early on in my experience that it's not enough just have people enjoying the experience, because very often I lost a lot of clients. They came for an issue, we dealt with the issue, they lingered for a little while, then they drifted off thinking that they're now, because we just keep saying, or some clients felt that they never got better because I kept changing the goalposts for them. So we need to say, this is what you can do. This is what you're able to do at the end of this session. This is what you're able to do at the end of the month. And compare you to last year. So when we, and when people see that in action, then it makes them more committed. And I think that guys generally want proof. I live in Scotland, right? So Scottish men, they have deep pockets and they have very short arms. And so they want value for money. So if this doesn't work, they're not coming back. So I need to show them.
Yes.
But it's simple things like showing them, we did test exercises. At the start of the session, we do, how does your body feel? Doesn't matter to me how it feels right now, but just how does it feel? You take note of that. And then at the end of the class, we do the same exercise again and say, how does it feel now?
Yes.
It actually does work. We've done, we haven't gone to max on anything. We haven't found a limit of anything. We've just done some gentle play movements, feel better. And then you say, like you said, imagine how 6 months, a year.
Yes. When we're talking about the proof, and
it's very cool. What percentage of people do you reckon, of men and women?
Oh, sorry, there's a little bit of a delay there. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, 1 second here. I'm going to There you go. Is that better then?
Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah,
that's
there's
good.
A little bit of a delay there.
We're in now.
Oh, no, Okay. Yeah, so I was going to say about the performance piece and how that relates.
Yeah, I'm good.
When I'm working with basketball players, for example, right? So that proof when it comes to working with farm league guys or guys who are trying to go to a higher level in their basketball, it's to say, well, by doing this is going to help you at the end of your career when you need to sign another contract. You'll be fit enough that people will see that you're still ascending in your career as opposed to descending in it. So I've said that in the past. And then someone else who works with basketball players was saying it this way. He was like, it comes down to more time on the court, more playing time. We're selling you more playing time. And that was something that resonated with them. So there was this connection between your teaser and getting more playing time on the court. So it starts to make sense when there's less injuries, they have more rotation, and then they have more agile and all these things. So just to your point, there's that I was going to say. And then the other part of it too is something that my wife, talks about is it's not necessarily all about performance as much as it's sometimes just non-scale based victories. So how your genes fit, how much energy you have, you spend a weekend gardening and you're not sore on a Monday morning, right? Little things like that just point to the fact that there's a return on investment here.
Yeah. Well, that's part of your initial conversation, isn't it? When you get people to fill in the form, hobbies, what's your job, and then that conversation around which you find out that they get a sore back from the gardening, and then you work. I try to speak the language of the person in front of me. And when you're talking about basketball players, that reminds me of the Pilates for the military, the project that I did. So I presented this at conferences, and Lolita, as part of my thesis, she said, right, ex-military, you're doing for the military. I said, well, Lolita, I've been out for a long time. I don't have any contacts anymore. No, you're doing Pilates for the military. No, come on, let me do the knee. I've got a knee issue. Let me research the knee. No, you're doing Pilates for the military. Okay. Somehow I found a way of doing Pilates for the military, an online, an in-person, and a half online course. And it was really cool. What I did was I did fitness tests, push-ups and sit-ups at the start. Then we did a 12-week, 1 hour a week mat work, basic mat work. and then we did fitness push-ups and sit-ups at the end, best effort for 2 minutes. Combine all those scores, and we had an average increase from the start to the end of 39%. So
what?
Increase
Yes.
in terms of push-ups and sit-ups. And the cool thing about that is that it's language military understand. So we did military style push-ups. We did military style sit-ups. Nothing to do with Pilates. And whenever I introduce this thing to Pilates teachers, I say, I apologize for these exercises because you don't recognize them, because it's reps. Push as many out as you can. Don't worry so much about form. Just go for it. You've got 2 minutes.
Yes.
Make your best effort.
Yes.
But if you apply the same parameters at the start and at the finish, then you can see a fitness change in the language that they spoke. We also did a psychometric test of markers of health, and did they feel their pain less, and did they get up better in the morning, and all these sorts of things. And all of those markers improved. But what the military were interested in is, could
metrics.
These personnel, were they better at being soldiers for doing this one mat work class, and according to their own statistics, they were. And that was really, we never did a push-up, we never did a sit-up. We just do smaller versions, crunches, movers and stuff. So
right.
So when I present this at a conference, I'm like, there is nothing new in these Pilates exercises that I'm going to show you, because it's all at the most intermediate level mat work, but actually the language with which I express it. So with all players, I don't think we can walk in and say, you need to be able to jeté, because you guys are jumping really high and you're playing basketball. So why don't we do some balletic jumps to see if we can get you higher? That isn't going to work with those guys. They need to know that they can hit the spots every time. They need to know that they have a different language. So we just need to speak the language of the person in front of us.
Yes. Exactly. That's amazing. Like
so the button had with Pilates from those absolute metrics to being much more fluid with them. And I've done now work then with throughout lockdown, I've done much more work online with them as well. So in May is Pride of Willie month, Willie Awareness Month. So last year I tried to do a Zoom call with a family in May, a half-hour session with kids of whatever ages. But part of the problem there is that Pride of Willie, people with a Pride of Willie kid, they want to exercise as much or as little as everyone else. So they don't all want to do the exercise.
Right.
Some of them exercise, some of them can't fit it in. So it's everybody's going to need Pilates, but not everybody's going to seek Pilates.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And the other thing is I apply the concepts of my training, the military fitness, personal training, all the stuff, to moving with my boy. I've had lots of people who say, well, that's not real Pilates. You can't call that Pilates. And I'm like, flipping hell. Joe's Pilates would love to see kids getting better at standing up out of a chair.
Yes.
And it's my beef with a lot of the classicists that I went to post a photograph on Instagram one time a clip of Albie doing footwork on the reformer for the first time, properly.
Yes.
Proper, like recognizable footwork, because I have an leg move the foot bar up and make it shorter so that he can do the footwork. Now he's too weak to keep his legs up on the foot bar, but if you hold them in place, then he can do it. And he was doing proper footwork that video because I'm super excited, right? But a classicist didn't fit with classical Pilates. A very odd comment make. You know, kids doing Pilates has got to be an important thing, and it's certainly, I find it much more important to helping these kids walk, sit, stand. Then I enjoy making soldiers better. Yes. An absolute reason for being is to help people to achieve more things than they couldn't do.
Yes, that reminds me. Do you have you heard of this book, the Frankie Fitness book?
So I also you asked the client, and I would say it's the client make the biggest difference, or not. Yes. I had one client of ours. She was awesome. She was ex-military, had Parkinson's, and she's been trained the last 4 years.
No. A little bit of a delay, but just heard. Okay, yeah. So I'll send you the link. So Charm City. Frankie Fitness, Adventures of Frankie Fitness. And it's a children's book that Adventures of Frankie Fitness. So if you guys don't have this is Jason Williams' book.
We've lost you again, mate.
There, and it's a children's book, and it's like a coloring book. And it's talking about, he introduces, kids to Pilates, and he touches on can dads do Pilates too, right? And and the whole family does Pilates, and it's a meditation, coloring book, and it has fun stuff like that, like dad's getting busted by the class at the end. He's so tired from it, and it's just fun, but it touches all those points for getting kids moving with Pilates. And then it has some exercises at the back. So, so 1 second. I'm going to put it in the comment section here. I know our connection is bad, everyone, so thanks for your patience with that.
Awesome.
There. Yeah, so there's quite the delay while we're talking here, but we'll keep navigating it. We'll figure it out. So, Joakim, can you talk about your Pilates studio? Sorry, Jason Williams.
Yeah, that is.
Sorry about the delay, guys.
That looks like an awesome book. I'm going to get one of those.
I'll put it in the comment section too when I repost this.
We need to move around so that you can see that you haven't frozen.
Yes, I know, right? It seems like there's like a 5 or 10 second delay when we talk here too. So that's the internet for you. Okay, there you go. So, Joakim, so I know you're getting this on a bit of delay, but if you could just talk about your studio, where it's located, and how you decided to actually start your business, because I know a lot of Pilates instructors want to figure out like what that career path looks like.
Yeah. It's a big delay. Yeah. Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm born in Sweden, moved to Australia, came to Britain visit, work as a lifeguard for 6 months. And that was 20 years ago. I slowly moved north to Scotland and settled here. And I was a sports massage therapist originally and realized that 90% do with their own movements could improve the sports massage. Yeah, they don't need to come for massage if they just move better. So I had a sports massage clinic and then got a mat work studio. 7 years later, was able to open up an apparatus studio. What was interesting in my apparatus studio is that I had a bricks and mortar small studio with one mat work room. And then I moved into a porta cabin, which is 3 times the size, but for rent. So therefore I realized I can make a bigger place, but not cost any more. And that's that I'd be able to make it happen. Because it's a big commitment with all of, but I achieve so much more for the individual people, you know, whether it's top level people or people with disability, you can just be so much more specific on the artists. It's not that one is better than the other.
Yes.
It's just that you can be more specific and you can support people or challenge people so much broadly on the apparatus. And I know that I was a better mat work teacher for having had the apparatus experience, able to use stretchy bands or Swiss balls or triad balls or whatever to replicate some of the apparatus exercise. So the studio it's a very unassuming cabin in rural Perthshire, Scotland, an hour north of Edinburgh, beautiful views. So when it opens up, come and visit because it's a nice place.
Yes.
And it's we have an apparatus room. We had 2 mat works, one and a small one, but there's no COVID. There's no point. I don't think we're ever going to go back to having 2 mat work studios. So now we have an apparatus studio, a mat work, and a one-to-one studio. So we've reorganized things to space the apparatus out a little bit, but it also gives us a chance to. So this here, the picture here behind me is the small mat work studio where we could, but that was pre-COVID spacings. So it's now the apparatus studio where the one-to-one studio, but I can do some filming in there as well. So business model has changed.
Yes,
it's an interesting thing. I reckon 50% of my clients don't want to come back to the studio. whether it's going to be
Yes.
safe or not. So we now have an online class schedule. It has to be there, and that's interesting. And
Yes.
but the cool thing being able to do stuff is I've got one teacher, is one of my favorite teachers ever in Idaho. She's for us on a Wednesday night at 7:30. That couldn't happen before.
Amazing. Yes.
So we have clients from all over the place. So I can see more on a one-to-one basis. In 2018, I did a road trip around the UK, and I saw lots of families with Prader-Willi syndrome, and I did with each of those families.
Yes.
And I spent a week driving around the UK. I went and did the conference in Monterey, in California, and I did the same around California. Same sort of road trip, same sort of time, and same. Yeah, I mean, everything's bigger in the States.
Yeah, sure.
But now I can see
There's
those
Claire
people
Sparrow
on Zoom, and that's really cool. That we've got access to clients and to teach that we never had before. Without the pandemic,
right.
Without us being forced to go online, it would have taken us a long time. I'm sure we would have got to chat at some point, Martin.
The delay is
but it
huge,
would have taken us much longer. So yes. There are some benefits to the pandemic as well.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Sorry about the delay, everybody.
I'm just pausing a while to let you chat as well, because I don't want to monologue just for an hour. I could monologue for an hour, but I want to give you some space as well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it has been, it's like 53 minutes. Like the time is like almost up, and I wish that we had like just like that no delay, so we could just continue just to bounce ideas back and forth.
Hello.
Yes.
You're frozen now.
Yeah.
It's a big delay.
Yes.
Tell us more about this. I was going to say speed dating event, the speed network tonight.
Yes, I'll speak to that, and then I think we'll have to end off with that just because this delay is it's crazy here. So the speed networking tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is late for you guys. Sorry about that, UK people. We will be doing our these 5-minute video chats where people from around the world are there, and then you basically get a chance to just talk with them, and the 5 minutes, and then it just moves on to the next randomly selected person. So it's a good time to catch up with old familiar faces, like you're at a conference and you get a chance to just see your buddies in between workshops, sort of thing. And it's just light, it's just fun. And then if you have any workshops and stuff you want to talk about, you can talk about it. If people want to collaborate with, you can do that. If you want to just crack jokes and just hang out with your people, do that. Mm-hmm. So there's no real agenda other than to just connect with people.
We'll have to do
it. You want to share, and just share your events and stuff like that. So that's this evening. And then I'm going to do an after party as well. So what I mean by that is I'll do another core conversations at 8 p.m. After the event.
I'm comfortable talking with delay from a military context. We can talk on delay, but it just makes it less interesting for other people to watch with big space in between.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you on that. So for those who are watching us with this delay, I apologize for that. Joakim, I just really appreciate your time today, and we'll definitely plan another chat so we can continue to build off of this conversation, because I really enjoy what you were saying, and I think you're doing great work.
That sounds cool. I'm going to see what time that is. 5 p.m. It's late, I think, but kids will be in bed by then, so I might be able to join and take part.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Cool, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's just fun to chat and meet new people, isn't it? This is one of those things that I think, what a cool thing, like yourself, that is reaching out to reach other people. That just creates a bigger community and brings us all together. And it's so worthwhile.
Yes. Amazing. Well, hopefully on the replay that the timing isn't as splintered as it is here. So I'm going to sign you off. Thank you to all of our people watching today and in the chat section. And we'll sign you off, and I'll follow up with you right afterwards. Okay. I feel bad. I'm going to have to actually physically hang up on you. This is so weird. All right. Thank you. Take care, everybody.
What a shame. You're going to have to edit out all these spots, but it's still going to see.